focusing on how to receive feedback. Not give it, receive it. Knowing how to receive feedback can be a huge catalyst for personal growth. Often when people receive feedback, their first inclination is to get insulted or defensive or sad or embarrassed. We have a really big reaction to it. In doing so, we don't really let that feedback fully in. Instead, we completely dismiss it. We get our friends to reassure us that it's not true, or we think it is true and then feel like crap about ourselves because we think, oh my gosh, I'll never be good enough. These things are so bad. So getting to a place where you can really hear feedback, listen to it, analyze it, and then determine for yourself whether or not it's something that you would like to implement going forward is massive in creating change within yourself. So we've spent days this week doing a feedback circle. Each person in the class got to take a turn being the receiver, and then everyone else in the class got to give that person feedback, and they just had to sit there and practice receiving, meaning we couldn't make any comments, we couldn't talk back. All we had to do was say, thank you, and listen to the next piece of information. It was really hard. I cried the whole time. I was just so overcome. And it didn't matter whether it was positive feedback, negative feedback, delivered gently, delivered boldly and bluntly. I was just so overwhelmed with all of the attention and all of the information about myself. I knew most of it to be true, and it was still such an intense experience to hear it coming from all of my classmates. Not everybody had such an overwhelming and emotional experience though. A lot of them saw it as a very nourishing process that they got a lot out of. Here's what a few of them had to say. What was the experience like for you being in the feedback circle?
I found it a little bit challenging.
I was anxious, anticipating getting feedback, and then I felt affirmed by the feedback because everything I heard in my feedback circle was stuff I actually already knew at some level.
It impacted me a lot, and I felt like I got more out of it than I thought it would. In fact, I feel like it almost was a springboard for me into feeling super connected to all of you guys.
Through my time at Rhodes, I've learned to receive information and being able to process it and not have attachment to the person who's actually delivering the message.
It was definitely a unique experience, something that I haven't really totally experienced before in such an open group.
But to actually just be able to absorb what they're saying and make meaning of it within myself.
I felt validated and affirmed, and also supported to make changes based on the feedback.
Do I want to sit with those behaviors still? Is it in line with my values? Is it in line with the direction that I'm going in?
I felt like stronger, more confident after we did that, which I found very fascinating because I wasn't thinking that would be what came out of an exercise like that.
What was the most difficult part?
I don't think there was one.
Being able to fully receive it, I think that was sometimes it was a little bit tricky.
I feel like the stuff that was my challenge is something I know already.
I don't feel like I received any feedback that was difficult to swallow.
Like allowing everything to just soak in.
I don't feel like I received any feedback that was wholly untrue.
It happened all at once, comment after comment.
I think because I was open to receiving the feedback, there was no challenging part of it.
I would take all of it, but not all at once.
The challenge is me taking on the skills practice that I decided I was going to take on.
Oh, I have to adopt everything I heard now? It's too much.
People sugarcoat things. It's not always the best thing, because if you want to improve on things, it's like, you're sugarcoating or you're taking care of the person while you're doing it. I find it, that wasn't always the most effective approach.
So to have a little self-compassion and just visit the pieces as I'm ready, I think is going to go a long way to making lasting changes.
What was your biggest takeaway then?
When I'm feeling like I need to protect myself, that I come across a little sharply.
One of the biggest takeaways for me was the idea that I do tune out at times when I am paying attention.
One of my goals and desires already before the feedback circle was that I would like to present more softly.
Because I'm trying to problem solve or I'm trying to come up with solutions, and I completely detach from the person who's speaking.
I feel like it just solidified that I've actually worked a lot harder on myself than I thought.
People help us to find our own awarenesses.
Because you guys saw the stuff that I want to be in me.
I had an idea of what kind of feedback I was going to receive. When it comes from someone else, it helps you to kind of solidify that within ourselves and then therefore try and take action on the things that we maybe do want to change.
To be able to be more grounded and to be connected to the other individual with a bit more attunement.
I really feel like I'll take away the confidence in knowing that you can arrive somewhere quite rapidly, especially in a program like this.
That's all I have for you today for a little lesson with a touch of insight. Ask for feedback. Practice receiving. See how it feels to just sit there and listen without making the comment, without jumping on the defensive. Digest it before you react and see how that feels. It's incredibly uncomfortable. Have a good week. Subscribe if you are enjoying these videos and loving this content, and I will see you next week.